Spoiler alert. This episode contains spoilers of the topic, probably a movie or TV show. If you want to watch the said movie or TV show without knowing anything about it, stop this video and go watch it, unless you've watched it already. Then continue with the video.
Hello? Yeah, what's up, dude? You want me to make an episode of Pointless History on Clerks? I'm not doing it, man. Why? Because I'm fucking tired. I just worked on that last episode for a whole month. Try driving a bus for 8 hours without stopping or pausing the game. There wasn't even a pause feature in the game. Well, try it yourself. Yeah, I know the 30th anniversary of the release of Clerks is coming up. You think I should do something and tie with it? Alright, fine, I'll do it. Alright, well, I guess I got no other choice. You're gonna find out about the making and history of Clerks on this episode of Pointless History. Oh, fuck.
There's something about independent movies that give me this anarchist feeling. I think the fact that it has this punk rock, rebellious attitude mixed with confidence adds to the charm of it. It's equivalent to giving Hollywood the bird. That's how I feel about Clerks. But Clerks is a little more special to me. Not because I live about 15 minutes away from where they filmed the movie. Okay, maybe it is. Kevin Smith grew up in Highlands, New Jersey, worked at many jobs, including a convenience store, got inspired by Richard Linklater's movie Slacker, and decided to go to the Vancouver Film School. But he dropped out halfway through with confidence knowing enough about filmmaking, and he vowed to make an independent film in his home state. While at the Vancouver Film School, Kevin met Scott Moiser. Both had become close friends, worked on a documentary project that fell through, but improvised by making a documentary about the documentary that fell through. When Kevin was dropping out, he and Scott were planning on writing movie scripts. They had made a deal that whoever finishes their script first, that'll be the movie they make. Kevin Smith read an interview with Robert Rodriguez about when making your first film, take stock of what you have. Clerks is about Dante Hicks getting called into work on his day off and pretty much having the worst day of his life. From dealing with asshole customers, his shitty friend Randal, a toxic love triangle, promises being broken, hosting his men's hockey league on the roof of the place that he works at, accidental necrophilia, and wise words from a bearded stocky dude in a trench coat that hangs out with a pothead. The original title was going to be called Inconvenience. Puns. Gotta love them. Clerks originally wasn't going to be a comedy. It was going to be a David Lynch kind of film with a clerk working the late night shift and meeting the weirdest of weirdo customers. The characters Dante and Randal were originally named Connie and Darren. Clerks is based on lewd experiences and conversations that Kevin Smith had with friends and while working at both the Quickstop Groceries and RST Video in Leonardo, New Jersey. And what I mean by working, I mean getting paid to hang out and act like a bunch of jackasses. I just hope the accidental necrophilia was nothing but a conversation. The only actors that Kevin knew were Ernie O'Donnell and Mike Bellicose, Kevin's friends from school who in a trio called the Scamods used to do comedy sketches for their school talent show. It wasn't set in stone, but Ernie was originally supposed to play Dante Hicks and Mike was going to play Silent Bob. As far as Kevin, he was going to play Randall Graves. Eventually, Kevin realized that he needed more actors for this film, so he held auditions at the First Avenue Playhouse in the Atlantic Highlands. Brian O'Halloran and Marilyn Gigliotti were community theater actors at the time and had heard about the auditions. Brian missed the first night of auditions for Clerks due to being involved with a theater show. Another audition night came up and he took the opportunity. Even though he wasn't prepared, he did a dramatic piece and won over Kevin and the crew. Ernie O'Donnell was potentially going to play Dante, but because he didn't remember the lines, and his reading of the character wasn't really that great, it led to changes in casting. Ernie would go on to play the brief character Rick Darris, a pretentious fit trainer. Brian would go on to play the lead character Dante Hicks. Marilyn Gigliotti used a dramatic monologue for her audition and was able to cry on command. This impressed Kevin and crew, and they casted her as Veronica Loughran, Dante's girlfriend. Jeff Anderson, another high school friend of Kevin's, went to the audition not to audition for the movie, but just to come and hang out and bullshit with Kevin and friends and try to meet cute actresses. But as a joke, he actually went up and read lines for the character Jay. Jeff was not an actor, and he had no experience acting before, but he was very funny. As production was inching up, Kevin realized he wasn't going to be able to remember the lines for Randal while also directing and doing other production stuff for the film. He offered the role of Randal to Jeff, who at first was apprehensive about taking the role in fear of not remembering the lines, but Kevin convinced him. Since Kevin wasn't going to play Randal anymore but still wanted to be in the film, he decided to take over Mike Bellicose's role, Silent Bob. Mike would have an extra role in the film. Jason Mewes was casted as Jay. The character was based on him. Essentially, he's playing himself. But for some reason, he was apprehensive about it. All the funny antics and quotes that he would say were usually to entertain himself and friends. So Kevin actually had to teach Jay not to act, but to be himself on camera. Even after learning, Jay was still uncomfortable. He would make most of the cast and crew leave the set when filming his scenes. The scene where Jay is dancing outside of the stores, none of the cast and crew were outside when this was filmed. Dave Klein, who was the DP and cinematographer of Clerks, would let the camera roll on a tripod, go into RST video, and it would just be Jay and Kev outside with a boombox dancing. The late Lisa Spooner was casted as Caitlin Bree, Dante's toxic ex-girlfriend. Some of Kevin's friends, family members, and crew members played characters or had cameos in the movie. Walt Flanagan in particular played, in order of appearance, the winter cap smoker,
pack of cigarettes?
The egg-obsessed guidance counselor, the porn-offended customer, and the cat-admiring bitter customer.
Kid.
The extras who were going to play these characters never showed up. Kevin described Walt as the Lon Chaney Sr. of the 1990s. As far as the budget for the film, the money came from multiple sources. Obviously working at Quickstop and RST Video, but also Kevin selling comic books and CDs, money that would have been used for Kevin's second semester in film school, a check from FEMA after Kevin's family's home flooded from a nor'easter, and maxing out credit cards. Long story short, it was going to be a shoestring production, leading to some money-saving decisions. One of them was the film being shot in black and white, because color film was expensive. Also for color temperature reasons with the lights and when editing. Another was having as few takes as possible due to the fact that there wasn't a lot of film for the camera. This did put pressure on the actors. Luckily, rehearsals and blocking had been done for practice and preparation. Taking stock of what Kevin had access to and who he knew helped with the budget as well. For the DP, Kevin and Scott brought along David Klein, who they met at film school and was an experienced cameraman. They got an Reflex SR2 16mm camera with film mag, sound equipment that Scott Moiser would run, and lights and electrical equipment run by Ed Hapstack, who was the best boy of Clerks. Other crew members were Kevin's friends who were willing to help out. Kevin wanted the movie to take place during a full day of work, but could only film at night when the Quickstop and RST Video were closed, less customer contamination. Kevin's way around this was by writing into the script that the window shutters would be closed because teenagers jammed gum into the locks of the shutters. This helped with filming, not so much with sleep for the cast and crew since they would be filming from dusk till dawn. There was an exception where a few scenes were shot during the day, both inside and outside of the stores. The film was shot for 21 days straight, with 2 days of pickup shots. In total, 23 days or 3 weeks of shooting. During the 21 days of filming, Kevin was working at both the Quickstop and RST Video during the day while filming overnight. Supposedly, he only had about 1 hour of sleep per day during the 21-day shoot. After Clerks wrapped up filming, everyone went about their ways for the time being, going back to work in their regular day jobs and other activities. Kevin went back to work in the regular hours at Quickstop and RST Video, while Scott Moiser stayed in Jersey to help edit Clerks. They rented a Steenbeck film editing machine and kept it at RST Video to edit the film. Kevin and Scott eventually finished editing and showed friends and family the film. They submitted and were accepted into the IFFM, and Clerks was set to premiere on October 3rd, 1993, at the Angelica Film Center. It seemed like Clerks would get some attention since the Angelica was popping during the IFFM. When the day came for Clerks to premiere, it was a complete ghost town. The only people in the audience were the cast and crew, a few audience members, and an older gentleman. During the whole premiere, Kevin and Scott were internally freaking the f*** out, thinking that they had failed. That wasn't the case, though. The older gentleman that was at the premiere was Bob Hawke. He was a consultant for the IFFM and had a gut feeling that he needed to watch Clerks. Bob wasn't sure if it was going to be good, but what made him go see it was because of the film's setting. Bob liked it, especially the writing.
Not even supposed to be here today.
After it premiered, Bob happened to run into Peter Broderick, who wrote for Filmmaker magazine, and told him about Clerks. Peter watched it, loved it, then told Amy Taubin, who wrote for The Village Voice, about Clerks. She got in contact with Kevin, who was in disbelief that Amy Taubin was calling him to see Clerks and write about it. Bob, Peter, and Amy had told producers rep John Pearson about Clerks. Both John and his wife Janet watched it. Janet loved it, John liked it, but wasn't sure if the audience and marketplace for the movie existed. But then John kept watching the movie on repeat for a week, to the point that he had changed his mind and decided to help find where to market it. The original ending had Dante shot and unalived by a thief, played by Kevin's cousin, John Wilyoung. Nobody wanted to see Dante killed. It was suggested by John Pearson that the film should end after Randal says "you're closed," while throwing the makeshift shoe polish sign to Dante. Bob Hawke was also on the advisory selection committee for the Sundance Film Festival and recommended Clerks. They were iffy about it as far as the offensive nature of the film, but it was eventually picked up for the Sundance Film Festival. The only problem was the film needed a distributor.
1 second. I'm on the phone with the distribution house now. Let me make sure they got it.
Luckily, that came through from Mark Tusk, who had read Amy Taubin's article on Clerks. Mark worked in Miramax's acquisition department and was interested in seeing Clerks. Before Clerks was picked up for Sundance, Mark was able to get a screening of the movie set up for an audience of friends, young workers at Miramax, as well as a higher-up who will not be named, because they don't deserve it. In fact, the higher-up was not impressed by the film and walked out 10 minutes into the screening.
Dickhead.
By the time of Clerks' last screening in Sundance, it was becoming the most talked-about film in that year's festival. Mark Tusk forced the higher-up at Miramax to go to the last screening, held them back in their seat to prevent them from leaving until they heard 37.
I'm 37?
Going to class.
Oh my god.
If it wasn't for that, the higher-up would not have fallen in love with the film, and Clerks would not have been bought by Miramax. Clerks launched Kevin Smith's career, leading to sequels, films in the same universe as Clerks, and a failed pilot that did not represent the film in any way. But the cartoon did. If you looked up cult classic in a dictionary, it would be a picture of the Clerks poster. It's such a cult classic that the film was selected for preservation in the U.S. National Film Registry by the Library of Congress in 2019. Clerks created a snowball effect, and not the snowball you're thinking of, for independent filmmaking by having connections and using what you have around you. That brings me to a little story I want to tell you. I had the fortunate opportunity to help out on an independent film called Marijuana Minutes. It was shot here in Central Jersey, during the pandemic I should add, and I know people don't believe this, but yeah, Central Jersey does exist. If you don't agree with me, kindly fuck off. I got on board because I know the producer and set designer of the movie. It was a group of friends that work in or is associated with video production, just wanting to have fun and make a movie. The whole time when I was on set, I kept thinking about Clerks and other independent movies that I like. There's even a quick clip in Marijuana Minutes that was shot in front of the Quickstop. When the movie was making its rounds to different film festivals, it played at the Smodcastle Film Festival at Smodcastle Cinemas. That's the old Atlantic Highlands Cinemas that was bought by Kevin Smith. So Kevin Smith saw the movie. That's pretty friggin' awesome if you ask me. Speaking of which, if you're interested in seeing Marijuana Minutes, it's on video on demand, Amazon Prime, Tubi, and much more. I'll put the links in the description. What it all comes down to is, Clerks is proof that you can accomplish anything that you want to do. And by the way, this video is done.